Barney and I were busy.
The after show is now streaming.
Ah, good hope.
Oh, God, damn, right, hang on.
So what you missed, Alan, is basically Ali B the other day was wandering around in Brussels, and he was there sort of reasonably early in the morning, about 8 o'clock in the morning. He saw the sun behind him, and then he saw the moon sort of up in the sky about 60 degrees, he thought, and it was lit from the top, but not from the bottom. And he thought, well, that's impossible, right? There's absolutely no way at all that the moon should be lit like that. It should be lit front face on because the sun is directly behind me. We had a little chat about that, and I pointed out to him that he could do something like go into Stellarium and actually have a look at what it would look like in Stellarium, and then you might understand it's more to do with the 3D nature of our reality that we're in and the fact that the sun is quite a long way away and from the moon. Yes. He said that's a load of rubbish. I don't need to do that. He can perfectly visualize 3D models in his head, and he knows it's a load of rubbish and therefore a flat Earth. So then we actually did go into Stellarium, Gruss and John and others, and I'm probably with Sean, in fact, as well, of course, and actually bought up a really clear view, and it looked exactly like Ali's video. And I mean, exactly. You couldn't almost tell which one was Stellarium and which one was actually Ali's video. And so it really debunked it in the most amazing way for me. And I'm really glad.
You know those Star Trail videos that I've done just lately? I actually have my camera and lenses set up in my copy of Stellarium, and if I set them up and point them in the right direction and start them at the same time, Stellarium even matches the satellites going over.
Wow. So that's one accurate model.
It's one accurate model.
That's a very, very good program, Matt.
And I think that's the thing. I think for me, the big eye-opener was I did prod Ali a bit and said, well, why don't you go and do this yourself? He said, you go and do it. You guys go and do it. You guys, like he said, you guys go and do it. Use, exactly. And I don't understand why the emphasis should always be on somebody else. If I had something I thought was a truth or a debunk or whatever, I would probably investigate it. I would investigate it, right, quite heavily before I showed it to other people, because I wouldn't want to be embarrassed in the way that Ali is now embarrassed. So it was very strange that he resisted it. And then he started having problems with the models, and he said the models aren't reality, and it just showed a very typical behavior that we see, which was very eye-opening, I think. And I'm sure Sean will make a video about this.
It's called intellectual dishonesty. Why do you think they don't do what you expect them to do? Because they know what the answer is.
I'm going to drop out for a minute so I can actually go back and see what that Ali said when you guys brought up the whole Stellarium thing, because I'm going to push this point in my video, because the way he passed it off was like he would accept it as evidence that, I'll just drop the point. But I want to get the exact.
If you listen to a bit before that, I really pushed him on it, Sean, because I, pushed him on it. I said, well, why aren't you going to do it? I said, first of all, this is what I would do. I said, look, Ali, this is what I would do. I would go and look in Stellarium, because that's the first place I would look to see if there's a reasonable explanation. And
well, it was you that asked him, what would you say if somebody went and did this in Stellarium for you? And then he responded, like, I would say that was interesting, and I would look more into it. That's actually why I paused some of these video and actually went to Stellarium to do that, and then I came on to your guys' show.
He also said that if it was shown to work out Stellarium, he would get tons of people.
You're cutting out, man.
Roboting, John.
Allie's like one of those kids' toys, the ones we had, blow up thing, punching thing with the weight in the bottom of it. And you smack the shit out of it, and it falls over and then pops right back up. That's Allie.
Allie's really like the less mean version of what's his name? Southern Israelite.
Oh. Ooh, yeah.
Ouch.
He's a much nicer Southern Israelite. See, the entire thing is, I have all these thoughts in my head. I know everything better than you do, but it's not upon me to prove anything. It's all on you.
Well,
but he is also
even when you prove it, though, even when you prove it to him, all he does is just shrug his shoulders and stand back up and waddle off somewhere else, start some other nonsense.
And he has got that Dunning-Kruger bit of being very offensive with it, right? So he always calls you names, and he tries to make sort of, he's got these funny little psychological points that he makes about you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing the other. There's a lot of projecting with him. And yet he doesn't follow that truth, because he claims to be this ultra-truthful individual who's really very balanced. And yet he doesn't. So please, Sean, cut it out and get those segments. So it really shows the hypocrisy at work.
Oh, yeah. That's the whole point why I came on, because I knew that he would do exactly that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Alan, could you share in the side chat the link for this?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, never mind. I see it. I see it. Never mind. I got it.
I did point out.
It's there anyway.
Yeah. I did point out to him that that's free to download. He could use it himself.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not like you've got to pay money, is it? And the other thing is, he doesn't need it. He's got a perfect 3D rendering in his head, apparently, that he can just think about, and he just sees it all. So he just knows he's got the right thing.
Here's the funny bit.
Well, the thing is that
the funny bit is I didn't have Stellarium installed because I've got the new computer. I install a lot of programs, and Stellarium is one of the ones that I didn't install. I actually had to download it before I tested it. So it's like a 3-minute download at most.
Well, that's like all the books that he's read as well. Especially about flight and stuff like that.
Both of them?
Oh yeah.
Well, it's like all of them. He's a fucking expert on everything. And I love the way that he inflicted his absolute classic on Sean. I will just keep talking so you can't get a word in edgewise. Even though I've asked you a question, I don't want to hear your answer, so I'll just keep talking and mutter, mumble.
Yeah, that's why he left, because I called him out on that.
It's what he does.
I really wish we had gotten it recorded, but in one of the hangouts in the after shows when we weren't being recorded, he basically admitted to Pete Shea that he talks over people so that they can't have a word in edgewise intentionally.
Oh yeah, he absolutely does that. It's his tactic. One of his tactics is absolutely to keep talking and just blithering a load of nonsense to throw sand at your face.
Do we have any flatulators in here, or are we all globies?
Flatulators.
I'm a flat earther.
Today? Oh, we got this guy.
Jose,
I can be a flat earther for you today.
No, Jose, you're only a step flatty.
But as I have stated before, actually, if being a flat earth means that I just question the official narrative, I might be a flat earther because I do question things, but I don't just deny them and sweep it under the rug. I accept the evidence as the evidence.
That's not the definition of a flat earther. Sorry, Jose.
No, that's being curious, and being curious there's nothing wrong with being curious.
Curious and skepticism are fine. Anybody has all the right in the world to question anything. It's the denial of evidence that makes you a flat earther.
Yep. There's a fine line between radical skepticism and denialism. Denialism is flat earth.
Yeah, when I was an actual flat earther, I did question things the same way I do now, but I used to just deny whatever answer I was giving and the evidence presented to me. I go like, okay, if you say so, but I really did double down on the same. I was giving an explanation, and then I went back to like, I don't think so, I don't think that's the way it works. So it was kind of a weird situation I was on. Now I accept my fate, and everything works beautifully in the heliocentric model.
So what you're saying is you were a victim of temporary stupidity.
Yeah, pretty much. I say I was uneducated, and it's true. Everything I learned about the globe, I learned it from a flat earther point of view. That's my first introduction to the details on the scale and the sizes and the distances. Just looking through a flat earther point of view, and then I open my mind, I open my heart, and I look at it unbiased, and I am here now. Yeah, I'm happy.
Jose,
I've noticed.
Just a quick comment. The heliocentric system has been disproven.
No.
Yes, it was disproven by Newton. And then the model that he replaced it with, which was the barycentric system, was later disproven by Einstein and by Hubble. And we are now in a no-centric system.
That's actually true, I suppose.
No-centric system. Interesting.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
All
right. Yeah.
Locally, you could say we're barycentric, right?
Okay, Barney, what have you been doing over there?
You lost me.
Yeah, I mean, technically we don't live in a heliocentric universe. We do live in a heliocentric solar system, according to Newton.
Yeah.
But
no,
to the letter of the law.
Solar system.
Oh yeah, barycentric solar system. Yeah.
Is there
it's
any
really strange thing?
What's the Barry? What's the Barry bit then? Can someone tell me what the Barry is?
The barycentric system is based on it's based on barycenters. Between two
Barry?
when you have two bodies, one doesn't actually orbit the other body. They both orbit the center point between the gravitational poles, which is called the barycenter.
So the center of the sun isn't actually the point of rotation of the solar system. It kind of wanders in spirals.
Well, I was going to make it simpler than that. It was just the Earth-Moon system. The Earth actually orbits the Moon slightly. The center of rotation of both bodies is not the center of the Earth. It's actually closer towards the surface of the Earth than it is towards the center of the Earth. It's only like 1,000 kilometers or something like that. It's not a lot compared to the size of the Earth.
Quite a good examples. The binary system of Pluto and its moon Charon. They're almost like if you're dancing with somebody and you're spinning around holding hands.
I mean, each one is sort of almost circling around the other.
Yeah. Every planetary and moon body does that. Every planet with a sun does that as well. It's just the barycenter is usually inside the surface of the bigger body. Pluto's the extreme because the barycenter is actually outside of the surface of Pluto.
So I don't often hear this term though, barycentric. So we still hear heliocentric, right? Don't we?
Is that why on holidays the ham orbits me?
It's really interesting the way that particularly the movement of the gas giants affect where the barycenter actually is, and it's what was it again, the time that it takes Jupiter and Saturn to swap sides effectively in relation to the sun is 11 years, which is the same as the solar cycle. It's not correlated as yet, but there's you get like solar minimums and maximums depending on when you've got specific alignments of the gas giants and stuff.
I've actually not made that connection before. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, I think there is a correlation between I can't remember. It's one of it's maybe the outer planets, but there's the jury's out so far, but yeah, something to think about.
I've never thought about it before. I'm actually interested now. I'm going to look into the timings of all that.
Yeah, it was the reason I started looking into it is because it's a bugbear of mine for a long time. There's this suggestion that Jupiter on its own is in a binary relationship with the sun, and it pulls it out of position, like the Earth, Moon, or Pluto, Charon thing, and it's just not. It's not true. I did a presentation on it for a astronomical society, and it's there's a zoo of objects in the solar system, all contributing to where the barycenter is. And Jupiter on its own is kind of lost in the noise, to be honest.
Yeah, and if you do a Fourier transformation on all those cycles, it actually plots out a picture of Homer Simpson.
Yeah. One quick question regarding our visual. We can see our is it a galaxy or a universe? It's 13.7 million light years as furthest we can see. Does that just refer to the Milky Way, what we're in, or can we see beyond the Milky Way?
We can see well beyond. We can see well beyond the galaxy, our own galaxy.
Yeah, our galaxy's what, like 100,000 light years across, approximately.
Estimated, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
Well,
which is why I said approximately.
Visually, when you look up into the night sky, you're looking basically at our immediate neighborhood in the Milky Way, and there are a handful of objects which are outside our galaxy, like the Andromeda Galaxy, the small and large Magellanic Clouds, which are irregular galaxies. But by and large, what you're looking at is our neighborhood, just in our own galaxy.
How do they work that out, John? How do they know about these other galaxies? I've always wondered that when they look up at the sky. I can understand how we could look at our galaxy, but how do they know about the other galaxies? that they are other galaxies, if you see what I mean, because we're sort of one side of the whole thing. So it must be very difficult for us to really understand the shape of the whole.
Well, I think the way that they deciphered the distance to Andromeda, for example, is identifying a certain type of star called the Cepheid variable, and it changes in brightness. It's got a direct correlation to its sort of absolute magnitude. So if you know the how bright something actually is, because of the inverse square law, how light gets dimmer the further away you get from it, you can actually compute the distance if you know absolutely how bright that object is. So once they'd identified Cepheid variables, when they found several of them in Andromeda, they could get a decent handle on the distance, which is about 2.5 million light years. So it's one of the stepping stones in calculating distance.
This is it. So I've seen star charts and star maps, and they make sense. But when you see those 3D views, that you see on popular science programs, where sort of Milky Way is out here, and you've got a cluster of galaxies here, and then you've got the Magellanic Clouds, and then you've got the Earth clouds, is it as well, the stuff that's right on the outside or whatever. I just wonder how they know it's like that. Yeah, I'm just a bit skeptical that we would know so much from our little position, because it would seem really odd that we've never looked at it from any other position, have we? Other than really the Earth, or in our solar system, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it's all computed from within our solar system. There's an array of methods to work out actual distances. Like the parallax would be the first. Parallax. You take a picture of a star against background stars, and then 6 months later, when you're on the other side of the sun, you do the same picture again, and you've got the baseline between the two positions on either side of the solar orbit, and you can work out or just measure the angular difference in position of the star, and then triangulate it, just using basic trigonometry. And you can do that with when you, as an amateur, with a half decent telescope, you can do that with Sirius, for example, which is about 8 light years away. It's probably got half an arc second, maybe, difference in angular diameter in the parallax.
There's a limit to that, isn't it, John? I mean, 400 or 500 light years or something's about as far as you can go with parallax with any accuracy, right?
Visually, yeah, but if you use like sub-millimeter radio, you can measure really small parallax. I was really surprised when I first heard about it. But yeah, I mean, in visual light, the limit of resolutions, it's pretty. It doesn't really go that small. I mean, Hubble is only 0.1 arc seconds or something resolution.
Another question about the probe what they sent out to explore the outer galaxy. It's just gone past Pluto, hasn't it?
New Horizons.
Yeah, that one. What fascinated me about the whole thing about it is that obviously that they had someone done a model of what it actually looked like, what Pluto actually was it Pluto? No,
yeah.
Or is it an odd-shaped object past Pluto? It's sort of like
the Oort cloud.
No, it's an actual asteroid.
It's the next target. I don't know if it's got there yet. But yeah, the
one that looks like a snowman.
Yeah, that's the one, right? We couldn't see it, but we could see it, but obviously not to a great scale. And they had a drawing of it back in the 70s, I think. An artist done an impression what it looked like. And when this probe actually got near it, that was virtually identical to the actual artist, just by the data he was given. He actually done a model of what it actually looked like. And that was virtually spot on what it actually looked like when we actually saw it in real time. That was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So
that was a lucky guess. That's what it was.
So I'm sharing.
Not exactly a lucky guess. You can take a couple of thin cross sections, see where the signal goes out. Like when that body, which is practically black, occludes a star which is behind it. You can measure the time and the azimuth of where and how long that star disappeared, and you take that sequentially for a number of stars, or however many stars you can see occluded by that object, right?
Tony,
Also,
are you sharing the P brains?
Yeah, so I'm sharing this view, right? I don't know where it came from. This I could understand. Do you see what I mean? I can see how they maybe have done this from the Earth, but when you look at the other view that I shared, this kind of one, I just can't see. Look, we're here in our galaxy, so how can we know that all these other? I mean, this is a gravitational map. I was trying to look for the kind of diagram I mean, and I'm finding it quite difficult to find one because they're normally kind of those animated ones, aren't they, where you fly through it, right? There's not normally a written one, but it just seems very odd to me that when we're sort of right out here on something that we can tell so much about everything else.
Oh, we actually know more about the position of those other galaxies that we can directly see than we do know about the shape of our own galaxy, because our own galaxy is largely occluded from us, and we cannot see the galaxies that are on the other side of it.
Yeah,
We
our
see
own galaxy gets in the way of us seeing it.
Yeah, we can't see the star. We can't see the Starbucks that's on the other side of it.
Yeah. Yes. Precisely.
and
like the picture that they took of the black hole is kind of a really good indicator of that, because we can take a crisp image of a large black hole in another galaxy which is many times further away, because it's flat on, then we can our own black hole, because we're looking at it edge on through all of the shit that's in between.
Well, the Sagittarius A black hole doesn't have a luminous accretion disk either. It's largely dark. They
took a picture of it, right? It does have an accretion disk. It's not as bright, and we cannot get as clear a picture of it as the other one.
Yeah,
they imaged both of them.
But the main, as you probably know, I mean, the main reason why there is a black hole at the center of our galaxy, or there is something very, 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 very like a black hole, because of the orbits of the stars close by it. And we've been looking at it for, I think, around 24 years. But 24 years worth of data of these stars. And if you've got the rough distance to those stars, which you would derive from redshift, I would imagine, and you can work out their velocity, you can work out the mass of the object that they're orbiting, and it's very big, to say the least.
So, to the center of our galaxy, how far is it? Because we're obviously out into a spiral off our galaxy.
25,000 light years.
Well, no, if it's 100,000 light years side to side, roughly, that would mean 50, roughly.
Well, if you're right at the tip of one of the arms.
Yeah, we're kind of in the middle, so it's about 25,000 light years.
So, what's the closest we can actually see to the center of our galaxy? What object we can see? Does anyone know?
Well, we can see the central bulge of the Milky Way.
Ah, right.
And we can see evidence of the supermassive that's at the center.
Yeah.
We have that supermassive imaged. We have Sagittarius A imaged.
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
cool.
It's an interesting thing. If you look at the Milky Way in the northern hemisphere, we're looking out towards the outer rim. So that for us in the northern hemisphere, the Milky Way is pretty sparse.
Yeah.
And in the southern hemisphere, we're looking towards the middle, towards the sort of hub of the wheel, and you've got a much more concentrated density of stars. That's why the southern Milky Way is so much more dramatic in the night sky.
Ah, that's cool. I haven't. Well, I say I was born in the Philippines, but I was like 18 months when I left, so I didn't really get the chance to see much down that way. But yeah, I've mainly observed from the northern hemisphere. But that'd be nice to go down in Australia and have a look at the constellations down there.
Yeah,
That'd be quite interesting.
I'm going in a couple of weeks. So.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah. So, well, to Brisbane.
Ah.
Camera in hand.
Brilliant. I mean, are you going to post any pictures or videos?
Yeah. If it all comes off. Yeah.
Ah, cool.
There was a discussion. I think it was BM Furbo was having with somebody about proving that when two geographically distant observers are both looking south, they're both looking in the same direction, rather than in a fan of directions as the Gleason map would suggest.
That was Riley he was having that discussion with, because Riley
Oh,
said
was it
you couldn't
Riley?
possibly observe all three.
Yeah. So I would, I'd quite like to contribute to that. I don't know what I think it would be best if it was done all on the same day, but not necessarily.
Yeah.
Night, rather. Yeah.
My telescope isn't really good enough for. It's just a cheap, nasty.
Oh no, it's not. I wouldn't be taking a telescope. Wide field, wide angle, short focal length lens,
right.
like 14 or 24 mil focal length lens. I'd probably take the Star Tracker, little camera tripod sized equatorial mount, basically, for cameras.
Yeah.
Or a P9000.
Or You're not going to let me live that one down, are you?
You know, I was going to say to Toady, is Toady still here? Toady was thinking about getting a P9000. There's a telescope. It's one of the first telescopes I ever got. It's called a SkyMax 90. It's Skywatcher telescope. There are other brands as well that are basically the same, but it's a 1250 mil focal length Maxitov telescope, and they only cost about £100. And with a thing called a T adapter, you can put a DSLR straight on the back of it.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. Yeah,
you know, that's a really decent bit of kit for £100.
You know, I've got all the T-mounts and everything, but you can't. I mean, if you just breathe on this bloody telescope, that sends across the sky. It's just hopeless. So I got to invest in a decent telescope.
Well, you gotta have a remote shutter.
Yeah,
it's an absolute must. Or if you've got that, if you've got a sort of newer generation, say Canon or Nikon DSLR, you can actually get an app for your phone, control the camera from your phone, which is pretty good.
Well,
you can adjust all the settings.
Mine's a D30, so it's quite old. So I got a remote on it, and I've got mirror lockup on it and everything, but that hasn't got sort of like Wi-Fi or anything. But I can output the video on it though to a computer.
Yeah.
But that'd be nice to get one what actually tracks, so I haven't actually got touched the bloody thing because my hands are getting a bit shaky now. So yeah. I've stopped taking photography pictures and things because I just can't physically hold the camera steady enough now. Even with mirror lockup, I still get massive shake.
In Scotland, when you start shivering because of the cold, you're going to get camera shake anyway.
Well, yes, but I'm further south, so I ain't got to worry about the cold. But yeah, it's something that's always fascinating, but I've just never had time because I've been always doing other stuff, you know. And astronomy can take so much of your time up at night, which is good. But
It's almost a bit sobering actually, because it doesn't get dark here till this time of year.
It ain't sobering in Scotland.
Well, you gotta have something to keep you warm when you're out with the telescope. But was it February? Was one of the last times I was out, and I was standing next to a loch or a lake, and the tripod was like on the water's edge, and the tripod froze solid to the ground, and I had some difficulty actually getting it off the ground. So when I had to pack up, and you're just not in the mood for that kind of thing when you've frozen your balls off for like 4 hours.
No, my dad lives up in Loch Ness. Excuse me, my memory's going now, but that's the town right at the start of Loch Ness, further in. Fort, no, not Fort. Oh, blimey, I remember it soon. But yeah, he's up there, and and the sky's just brilliant up there because no light pollution. But that's interesting up there. But not seen the Northern Lights when I've been up there. It's been the wrong time of year or whatever. But I'll think of as the town he lives in a minute.
I can't remember.
Can I share something? Because I've got an interesting thing that I did from the conversation we had yesterday with Bob the Science Guy, and I just wanted Barney's view quickly, if we could, on it. It's the flight plan thing. Do you remember we discussed yesterday about the flight plans? I don't know if anyone heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me share it, and we can have a look. Here we go. Just hang on. I'll do it quickly. So I went to flight Sky Vector, which is what can you see the screen? Just tell me, guys, when you can see the screen.
Yeah, I can see it.
60, 60, and 60.
Yeah, exactly. So what I did is I remember Bob. So let me talk through what I was trying to do, and then we can see where I've gone wrong. So Bob did this great video where he showed. Someone's still got the watch page on. Okay. I don't know.
Sorry, no, that's my cell phone picking itself up.
Yeah, if you just mute a bit when you're not talking. So there's the 3 places that Bob said, and Bob did this video where he showed us this live, and then he went, I think, to a globe, maybe Google Earth even, and then showed a view where they were flat, and he showed that, these were obviously couldn't be straight lines because obviously they need to be part of the Great Circle routes or part of the flight plan route. So you've actually got a triangle that's got more than 180 degrees on the interior angles of it. The problem I've got with this is if I showed this to, let's say, Anthony Riley, he would just say, oh, well, what you're doing is you're distorting it on the map. You're showing that this is the route, but how can you show me that, actually the Earth isn't flat and all you've done is you've just curved the picture? So that's the challenge that I've now got, because my understanding here is obviously that this is a triangle that is a curved triangle because it's on the globe, right? And therefore, obviously, we've got these, 3 lengths of it. And if you actually notice, interestingly, this leg here is 2,151 miles, nautical miles. Whereas actually this one is shorter, but if you look at it visually, it looks longer, doesn't it? This from here to here. Yeah. Now, the reason I found it very powerful evidence was you could actually get the flight and check that it flies over, I don't know, whatever the little towns are down here if we zoomed in on them. And you could go, oh, look, I'm going over that town, that town, that town, that town. So you could validate that the plane actually takes that route. But the trouble is I don't know how I can link it up, do you see what I mean, to show that it's definitely curved rather than flat. So any suggestions would be welcome.
Yeah, that's Fort Augustus, by the way, I was thinking of. No, but was it Nathan?
Is Barney Nathan here as he dropped off? Because I'm sure Barney was there when the other video was there. Is Barney gone?
Perhaps you could try Seattle, New York City to Brownsville, Texas triangle.
So I think the triangle's good. So the triangle's fine, right? The triangle's absolutely fine. The problem I'm having is how can I show
that it's curved?
Well, we can see it's curved here, and you can even. So what I mean is this: if you fly from here to here, right? Yep. You fly. It's a shame blue isn't here. You fly on one heading, I presume. So probably we're not changing the heading if we flew that route. And you could also validate what you actually fly over. Yep. But how can I show that it's curved the map exactly, rather than it's actually a straight line?
Line, yeah.
if you plotted a Seattle, New York City, Brownsville, Texas route, that should keep you over land the whole way and still be just large enough to show some curvature.
Yeah, I'll have to ask it again when Bob's here, because he had a good way of showing that the route was actually flat. Do you see? Because the objection, right? I'm fine with this, right? It's obviously a curve. It's a curve, and it's a beautiful triangle. And actually, if you do measure the angles, right, it adds up to more than 180 degrees.
Nice.
But all that Riley will say is, you've just bent the map. Yeah, it could all be actually flat. Do you understand what I'm getting at? Yeah, and therefore it could be a triangle. And since he doesn't know the degrees in a triangle anyway, that wouldn't help.
Yeah, Wolfie had this argument.
I keep coming up with that you can validate the path of the flight plan by being on there and recording your GPS position the whole way.
I agree. I can validate the route. Yeah, and I can even
try to figure out how to. And I'm running into the same problem you are. That's exactly
you
what
see
it
what
is.
I mean. But how do I show that I'm not just distorting the? Well, not me, but you know what I mean. Whoever's doing this is not distorting the map. How can I show what a straight line route would look like?
Would it help to plot that triangle on Google Earth?
I can't use Google Earth on this particular Mac very easily. It's not like on my it just doesn't work very well on the Mac when I've tried it. I've tried to do live things before with Google Earth, which I'm pretty familiar with. Actually, I use it at work a lot. But on this Mac, I can't do it. It might be a good idea. Maybe I'll go away and try it on my PC and see if I can plot it on Google Earth.
Yeah,
it's all bent on Google Earth, though.
Google Earth is now a globe. They've actually changed it, so it actually shows you a globe.
But see, if you zoom out, you can show it in Google Earth, and you can also show elevation and stuff. I've done a lot with that. It's the whole quantum eraser thing that you can't see the curve, and that's because they set it to the ground. But Bob had a very good way of showing it. I must just ask it again when Bob's here. Then maybe no one else was on the Hangout, because Bob had a really, it was like one of his proofs, right? And he brought up this flight plan that I'd not seen before, and that's why I asked him the question yesterday. He gave me the routes, and I can now see the triangle, which is brilliant. It's a good route, but I've forgotten how he showed that it was that it was flat. Yeah, because as I say, I know the first thing that Anthony will say, because I've actually spoken to Anthony about this before, and he said, "Oh well, it's just how you're showing it. It's just how it's being represented, right?"
Well, you could actually say to Anthony,
right,
if that's a straight line, Anthony, or who is it, Riley? He's trying to do. Anyway, the guy who doesn't believe this, I said, okay, then just draw a straight line across there, but underneath this bottom arc from going over
that would be a straight line, let's say like that. Yeah.
Right. Tell them to just draw a straight line across it and then take the flight plan, take the actual flight plan and see if his straight line actually goes over his straight line. If any of the towns actually go over the straight line, well, they won't, because they'll go over the arc one. So, but then he'll just say, "Oh well, the pilot."
But then he'll just say, "It's the way you're representing it. You're just frigging your flight plans." Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't think drawing a straight line on what is a curved representation. You should be.
It's an attempt to make an unfalsifiable narrative. If he could say that everything is distorted, there's no way to give him something that's not distorted. It's a tactic. It's not an actual objective.
Right. So what can I do? I can show the flight plan. I can show, as I say, a triangle on a globe, right, which proved to me the globe. And then I can also show that the plane takes that route. I guess if I could show the plane was on the same heading, wouldn't that prove it was straight but bent?
Yeah. He had this argument.
Yeah, if it didn't deviate, if it flew whatever that is, 54 degrees, if the Earth was flat, I'm just trying to think what would happen. It would just go straight like that, wouldn't it? It wouldn't curve, would it?
Yeah. Wolfie had this argument with Nathan. Nathan put up £100,000 approved, blah, blah, blah. Well, Wolfie plotted it and showed you can have a triangle with 390 degrees on it and still end up where you started from. But I don't think Wolfie's got his 100 grand yet. But he had this argument with Nathan, and Nathan just won't accept it either. Yeah, it just wouldn't work on the flat plane. What you've drawn there, it just wouldn't work. But
no, of course, it would be straight, wouldn't it, on a flat plane?
Exactly.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to just remind me. I'll re-ask when Blue or
guys. One of the
Bob was on.
One of the things we're forgetting is that when you're in an aircraft and you set out on a heading, your actual compass bearing constantly changes as you fly.
Yes, yes, it does.
So you can't actually just set out and fly on a fixed bearing.
But Alan, it wouldn't deviate as much as a straight line on this map would be like this, would it?
Well,
yeah, it's not going to deviate that much, is it? So what I mean is, I've seen this proof done by Bob.
It's going to deviate exactly that
that's,
much.
That's on a Mercator projection, so you get the curve that's called by the Mercator projection.
Yep.
Compared to for a great circle. Which is why that Coriolis calculator thing that they found online that says you'd have to go southwest to go west. Well, yeah, but that only works. That's only true if you're looking at a Mercator projection, because and not allowing for the fact that it's a Mercator projection, because you can see what happens when you put a great. That shows you exactly what happens when you put a great circle on a Mercator projection. Right, but you can't just set off and fly a fixed bearing, because you will end up on the equator. If you fly, if you just go in a fixed direction, you will always end up at the equator, 180 degrees around the Earth from where you started.
Yeah, I'll bring it out when Bob's back on, because he had a really good proof for showing.
Oh, it is. It's but it requires you actually knowing spherical geometry, and I don't.
Anyway, it's something to put in the cupboard and bring out again. Yeah, I asked him yesterday, and I thought it would be obvious when I see this, but I can't defend against the Anthony Riley. You're distorting it. Do you see what I mean? I thought it would be very obvious to show also the triangle's got more than 180 degrees. But they'll go, so what? All you're doing is you're distorting it. You're presupposing the sphere is what they'll say to me.
Basically, you have to you have to put it on a globe. Put it on a globe, and you see three nice straight lines, all meeting, and you can add up the interior angles, and that's over 200 degrees in that case.
But the thing is, you're not really distorting it, because you're actually showing proof of what towns it's going over. So that's the projection that it would do. So
yeah, I think that's the proof. Is you could get on that plane, you could pretty much see, even though as Alan says, the plane does vary a bit each leg. You could literally see you are passing over those towns, and not the other ones that a straight line would be showing. Yeah,
exactly.
That's brilliant. Or anyone
would be incumbent upon.
Try putting in Hong Kong. If you put in Hong Kong Narita to LAX, have a look at the Great Circle. When you see that Great Circle, you suddenly realise just why that woman ended up in Anchorage, having the baby.
Hang on a sec. Let me just replicate this screen. Hang on. So I've got some high IQ stuff going on here. Totally high IQ shit going on here at the moment.
Have you got 50 tabs open with 120 million gigabytes in your computer?
And I met him the other day as well. Right. So where do I want to go from, Alan? Where was that from? What was the two places, Alan?
Sorry, mouthful of curry.
You talking those retards again?
Hong Kong Narita International.
So what's that? HK. Did you have
Tokyo Narita International. I'm sorry.
Do you know the code for that though?
I'm afraid I don't.
Give me a second.
Tokyo International Airport.
Yeah, Tokyo International Airport.
All right, there we go. RJTT. Okay. To
LAX. I don't know what the other letter is.
We'll find LAX. Los Angeles International.
That's it.
Yeah. Let me just get rid of these stopovers, because look, we're going on a bit of an interesting route at the moment. Let's get rid of those.
Oh wait, is that Anchorage? Because that's where they wound up going to.
Yeah. Hang on.
Yeah. But what happens when you remove Anchorage anyway?
There we go. Brilliant. Right. Okay. So, well, hang on. That's pretty direct. I don't understand the problem. What's the problem?
Well, there was a woman who went into labor.
And They get
Oh,
upset because they went to Anchorage. But yeah, it will be if you put it on a Mercator projection of draw a straight line.
Hang on again. Let's go slowly, right? I can tell there's some witchery going on here. That to me, obviously it's part of the Great Circle, right? But that looks like a pretty obvious route. If you were here, what do they say? Why didn't they go over here or something? Where was the plane when this?
Take a Mercator projection, draw a straight line on it, and then you ask, why did they go to Anchorage and not Honolulu?
Where is Honolulu around here, Alan?
That little white dot in the middle of the Pacific.
This one here.
That one there. Yep, that's the one.
Right. So why didn't they go there? Where were they? About here?
They were in the middle of the flight.
Right. They were here, so it was closer to go there.
They were actually a bit further back. They were way back the other way. Way back the other way. They were going from...
Yeah.
They were a little bit further than that, but not much. About there.
Out here. All right.
So it was closer to go to Anchorage, which is the spot where all the lines converge in Alaska.
Right.
Then it's obviously closer to there than it is to where all the lines converge in the middle of the Pacific, because the map you're looking at is a Mercator projection.
Oh, look, there is one that goes to Honolulu. This 11, right. But even on this one, Alan, it looks like it would be nearer to go to there than to go to there.
No, that has nothing to do with it. They were on the flight to LAX. A woman went into labor, and they had to divert from. They were at least a third of the way through their flight.
Yep.
They had to divert to somewhere that was closer than LAX. The closest place that had the appropriate facilities was Anchorage.
Right, where's Anchorage on here then?
Alaska.
Up the top there. Up the top.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
No.
Left
Number
or right?
one.
No, to the right.
Over.
Anchorage is where you
Yeah,
have
bit more.
other route going.
Yeah.
No, further.
No.
Back,
Left or right? Just someone
Left.
keep telling me it's left.
left and up. Follow the coast.
Up, down.
Right. Up a little
Right.
bit.
Follow the line.
See
With
where
the
those
lines.
little grey lines are going to?
Looks like, yeah, that's the one.
Yay.
You're there.
There you go.
Hey. So
Yay.
that's closer from about there
Yeah.
than to go down to there. Oh yeah, definitely closer, isn't it, to there? Right. Okay. So what's the problem then? So now I'm still confused.
Sometimes, depending on the jet streams, they might fly a slightly more northerly route to pick, because the jet streams go.
Sure, you get the wind going
west
like
to
that. Yeah.
east. So if you've got a northerly jet stream, it can be, although it might be a couple of 100 miles further, sitting
when
in
I've
a
heard Mark
400 mile an hour tailwind,
Sure, you got some wins. I've heard Mark Sargent say, "Oh no, it's stupid. They would never fly that way. This woman, they flew right over wherever it was." He said, "I don't quite understand the problem. What map should I look on it to make it look ridiculous?"
The problem becomes apparent if you connect Tokyo and LA with a straight line on the Mercator map and find a point that is 1/3 way.
So you mean if I did a line like that, yeah, and then you'd be about here. So it looks crazy to go there. You should, of course, just jump down to there. Yeah, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was their their objective.
argument.
They're like a straight line. They were like a straight line that being the shortest distance between 2 points. Honolulu was closer. They don't recognize that there was a Great Circle route being taken.
Right. So what you're saying is they didn't put this projection onto this type of map. They took a Mercator map and they just did straight line. They just went like that.
Correct.
Across it. Yeah. Okay.
That's the one. Speaking of Mark Sargent, has anyone seen the advert he's doing in Australia?
Yes.
It is classic. It's even a flat earther can work it out.
He got paid a lot, 80 grand. He got a lot of money.
I expect he
You
did.
can tell he's the only person. He's the only person in it who thinks that he's actually proving something.
Yeah. You can, everyone's laughing at him, but he doesn't realise it. Yeah.
Hey, I sorry about being late with this, but I just plotted out the Seattle, New York City, Laredo, Texas route, and it does show some significant curvature. And I went ahead and in the side chat, I posted a link to the screenshot I took. It did take me a while because I just have my phone, so you get what you get.
And can I just say, I'll put some stuff in the side chat as well about airports and Bali flights and something. I can't understand what he's saying, but he says check it out. I was to tell you.
Good deal.
Perfect.
Okay, I'm going to read what he wrote. Hang on. It says, they got the wrong origin airport on that flight. That was another factor. And I'm pretty sure the report said it was a Bali flight.
Okay, this shows flights from SeaTac Airport to JFK, then down to Laredo, Texas. Virtually completely overland, except for the Great Lakes bits. So it can be tracked on ground. Shows curvature, as you can see. That might be enough to do the trick.
The original flight that person was on was from Bali, correct, but their flight took them to Tokyo first. The origin was not from Bali to LAX.
What was the pregnant woman?
She did the stint from Bali to Tokyo, then it was Tokyo to. In fact, I think there was 3 stops on. I think it was Bali, somewhere else, then Tokyo, then it was going to be LAX, but they only made it as far as Anchorage.
But yeah, trying to
just
convince.
another little tidbit that gets left out of that particular argument is they're like, oh, it was from like, but she went on to labor on the leg from Tokyo. And a lot of the confusion comes from the fact that, of all things, who would have ever guessed that a lot of reporters have really sloppy writing?
Well, of course they have really sloppy writing. What do you expect?
They're a reporter.
Especially from the Daily Mirror. Sorry, I only just looked up and saw where the story was.
Well, it's even worse.
Yeah. And Tony, you're British. What are you doing using the Mirror? I suppose it was where you could find it.
Yeah. See, I've got a problem with. I mean, she's not a flat Earth. She's not.
Were you just showing like a triangle in a map that looked like the Star Trek logo? So it's a triangle. Illuminati confirmed. Just saying.
That's one, Jose. Now, I've got a friend. I'm trying to convince her that you can't get energy from nothing. She's not a flat earther, but she doesn't understand that you can't use a. She's watching this video in India where this bloke who got this massive flywheel. I hate to think how much it weighed. It must have weighed about 1/2 a ton, right? And I found it quite funny because she said, "Look, they're using welders and everything off it." I said, "Yeah, but they're trying to con people." I said, "But for starters, right, this is supposed to help people generate electricity in, say, like Africa and places like, remote places where there's no electricity, right?" The funny thing is, he used the mains electricity to actually start up this flywheel. So I tried to point out to her, I said, "Look, how are you going to start the wheel up in somewhere where there's no electricity?" She said, "Well, you'll just spin it by hand." I said, "It's not going to work, darling." I said, "No." I said, "You can't get energy from nothing. You've got to consume something to produce something." But she can't see the logic in it, and she's still going to try to make it. But
that you can never get more out than you put in.
Yeah, I've tried to explain this to her through using an electric motor and a battery. I said, "Why do you think the battery actually dies?" She said, "Because you're using all the energy out of it." She said, "Yeah, but I'll just recharge it." I said, "What are you going to recharge it with?"
So it was an area I looked into before I got into Flat Earth was free energy. I was really into this, and there's a couple of classic ones that they do, right, like you described. One is where they have a dynamo running a motor and then the motor running the dynamo. They
yeah.
normally do it off a battery, and it normally magically manages to recharge the battery while still running both the motor and the thing, right? That's number one. Number two is you see these amazing magnets spinning round and round and round, just managing to propel other magnets, right? Because if you ever play with magnets, there's obviously a force of magnetism, right? It does repel things.
Yeah.
There's been this sort of idea of people for a long while that you can get some magical configuration. Yeah, which of course you can't, right? Because it's just like gravity, right? You can't do it both ways. But anyway, and by the way, I've got lots of neodymium magnets, very expensive ones, because I was trying to do this myself, right? Which, by the way, doesn't work. I can contest to that fact. But I fiddled a lot with it, and so they do that one. And normally, actually, when they fake it, they've all got a motor underneath, and they're running some wires through the bottom of the wooden board or something. You sort of yeah. And then the third one is normally one which I can't remember the guy's name, but there's this famous generator by this guy. And basically what he's doing is he's running sort of some kind of coil. And then what he's doing with the coil is he's trying to sort of take free energy out of the air, which then again magically recharges sort of a battery or a cell.
Oh, the magneto. Yeah,
exactly. So, and then what they normally show is, oh, look, here's a flat battery, and we can magically put it into this machine. We can run this machine, and look, it runs and it recharges this battery. Yeah. So again, I think,
yeah.
Well, it will kind of run for a while, but
I'll eventually die.
Yeah, I mean the other one I've seen is a big wheel with heavy steel ball bearings that can slide from near the axis out to the rim, and as it goes around, it goes clack, clack, clack.
I call that Galileo's wheel.
Yeah.
So it's called Bestler's wheel, right? Because he did the best one, and apparently Bestler theoretically, I can't remember, back in about 17th. It was about the time actually Newton was around, because Newton looked at Bestler's wheel. That was the amazing thing. Now Bestler would never reveal the internal workings of his wheel, right? And he always kind of kept it very secret. Theoretically, he actually did a test where there was like, one of these people in, I think it was probably in Germany, like a duke who ran the whole sort of town, whole city, and he did this test where he supposedly managed to run it. And it was very big, his wheel. It was about, 16 foot across or something. Yeah. And it had like sort of sheets on the side of it or whatever. So you couldn't see what the internal workings were. Anyway, so you started this wheel off, and supposedly it ran in this Duchess of Schloss or somewhere like that, Wittgenstein, somewhere, some place in Germany. And it ran for like, I think about half a year. And they opened the door of the room again, and this thing was still running, and it was powering something. And what they reckon he did actually was he got a maid or a woman to be inside this thing, and she was just walking around to power it. And then secretly he'd sort of bribed the guards to whatever theatre or something. So, it's been going a long time, this free earth stuff.
Well,
Not free energy stuff.
I explained this to her with the car, the electric cars. I said, why do you think the cars need recharging every night? And she says, oh, no, they're now going to put regenerative motors in the wheels. I said, it's still not going to work, darling, because
they already have that. So my wife's car, right, is a Nissan Leaf, and it actually has already got regenerators in the wheels, so that when you brake, it recharges the battery. In fact, my BMW's got that as well for the normal battery. Mine's not electric BMW, but it's actually got, you can recharge the battery when I brake. So it converts the energy back into the battery.
But
because electrodynamic braking is very good.
Yeah, it's a really good way to brake, because you're not actually using any brake pads, are you? You're actually not physically.
It's a very efficient braking method, and
guys, LK posted an interesting link over in side chat. We might want to check that out.
All right, hang on.
If someone could present that, I can't.
I was wanting to hear about your magic triangle, but we never did.
Yeah, if you watch that triangle, and if you flip it 360 to the left, if you highlight the contrast, overlap it with the different triangle facing to the other side, move north to south, and turn your head over, is Aristarchus. Confirmed.
Boom!
Go away. We don't want you.
And shift at 33 degrees to the left.
What is this? Oh my God.
It?
No,
but I can see it, and I'm horrified.
You can't hear it? I'm just playing it, but you can't hear it. All right. What can I do then to...
you would need to have a sound you'd need to have something like.
Right, do you want to play it then, Alan? Look, I'll stop sharing and you can do it because I don't know how to do it.
Hang on just a minute, and I will.
You're the man of the moment with the.
I will try and find a way of throwing it in there.
Is that Nathan Oakley?
It is. It's Nathan, the lovely Nathan Oakley.
That's horrifying, is what this is.
I feel sorry for his wife. I really do.
Yeah, I at least feel sorry for his kids.
I do wonder if in real life, if he's quite as objectionable and gets so angry as he does in his show. He didn't start off that way. I've looked at the ones early on when he was with Flat Earth British with Martin Leaker and that, and he seemed a lot more relaxed, a little bit more meek, dare I say it. But now he's just like
he's violent,
megalomaniac, exactly, and he's so horrible with the things he says. He really is it's excessive, just excessive.
I think it's because he knows he can get away with it, and people still tune in and can do
Well,
whatever the hell they
I
like.
don't know why they do. I don't know why people go on the show. If you just ignore someone like that, they hopefully will go away because he is just very nasty with it.
He's an egomaniac.
Yeah,
and I'm going to spoil you. I'm going to rip you a new arsehole. Yeah. I'm this, and he mutes the person and goes, "I just want to point out that you are," and he just with QE, it's just horrible.
He is vicious and violent. He's a nasty person. I won't watch any of his videos. As soon as I know it's him on it, I just move on.
No, I can't watch him at all.
No, because I'm not a violent person, but I just want Fizzy to go up there and punch him.
Smash his face in.
Yeah. I want to use him as a boxing
punch bag.
Yeah.
I think there's no excuse for it. It's a level of engagement with ideas that is a little bit psychotic. And some of the things he comes out with are just extremely violent and really troubling, right? A lot of things he says are very, very troubling. And I think this is the trouble because he's so wedded into it and financially he's wedded into the whole idea of the flat Earth. He's gone rogue. Do you see me? He's in this sound shape. He's not meeting normal people at work each day. Talking about other topics, right? It's all flat Earth all the time for Nathan, and that's what causes this kind of psychosis.
You guys should now be seeing the video, and I'm pretty sure the outside can see the video. So here we go.
Who were you talking about just there, incidentally?
Nathan Oakley.
Nathan Oakley, I thought so.
Can't seem to hear it at the moment, Alan.
Yeah, Slappy the Clown.
That is because for some reason I am.
I'll credit him for that one.
It's a good look that Nathan's got there, isn't it?
It would help if I.
Hello there, and welcome to another video. This video has got two purposes. The first part is to draw attention to this character here, Nathan Oakley. Now, I generally avoid making videos directly about personalities in the Flat Earth movement, but Oakley joined in a hangout that was hosted by Spaceman the other night. Now, Spaceman makes no secret of the fact that he leaves some very critical comments, to say the least, on Flat Earth videos. So Oakley was raging about this and came on Spaceman's hangout to basically confront Spaceman about these just obviously throwaway comments that just not meant to be taken too seriously. So Oakley got a bit upset about this and had a rant at Spaceman. Fine, you know, we'll rant at you lot, you rant at us. But anyway, Oakley then went away and made a follow-up video, which he goes into a really vicious rant at Spaceman and about what he calls trolls, which is essentially people who are point out there's no way that Earth can possibly be flat. Now the other part of this video is to also just to highlight this story and the way it's been completely misrepresented by flat earthers, amongst them Oakley, but other flat earthers have been bringing it up again recently, and it's about this woman who gave birth on a flight. Well, anyway, I'll just let you hear a little bit of what Oakley says about this.
So there's a China Airways flight from Bali to LA, and mid-flight, a lady who's on board gives birth. She's 4 weeks premature, and they land in an emergency situation. And where do they land? Alaska. Now, none of this makes any sense whatsoever on a globe Earth.
Right, so Oakley's drawing attention to this story where this flight was reported to have taken off from Bali and landed in LA, and it was diverted to Alaska. Now, at the time I came on this video, now unfortunately I was using a different channel name, which I shut down not long after it, and some of the comments I put on this video have long since gone. But I had about a 3-day argument with Oakley about this and found him to be completely unreasonable, irrational and fanatical. You could not reason with the guy. And I want to point out something that I pointed out to this guy at the time. It says here, I don't know if you can see this, it's referring to the doctor. A doctor who happened to be on board helped the woman give birth, who happened to be on board the flight which took off from Taiwan. It actually says in the news story that he's projected up behind him that the flight took off from Taiwan. Now, other people pointed this out to him in the comments. The YouTube user, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but it's something Rolf. He's actually pointed this out just a couple of weeks ago, that it says which took off from Taiwan in the video. If you look down, Squeaker Alpha had a bit of a long going discussion with him about it. Squeaker Alpha provided him with 4 links to news stories which clarify what happened. Little Brother Is Watching You Too points the same thing out. Oakley just refuses point blank to accept this information. Now he says here, presumably sarcastically, "You win, troll. I made a video with the journey from Taiwan." So he's implying that he's made another video updating it. I can't find this updated video, and he's left this video up. It's been up for almost exactly 6 months now. And the information on it is wrong. He's had it pointed out to him multiple times that it's wrong. The story you show even says the flight took off from Taiwan. That's Requiem for a Dream. Squeaker Alpha again has had a long discussion with him about it. Oakley just refuses to accept it. This is not in any link. The headline makes it very clear where the plane was from and to. Flights are not listed by previous connection. This is nonsense. Bali to LA. Now, when I discussed it with him, he kept repeating this like some kind of mantra. Bali to LA, Bali to LA. But it says clearly that it took off from Taiwan. So what was the source of the confusion? Well, let's have a look at what actually happened. Now, if you go to this is the newspaper article he's got behind him is the Daily Mail, the Mail Online. Now, notice the headline says, "Amazing moment, woman gives birth to premature baby girl on a Bali to Los Angeles flight." Now, if you look at what that headline says now, "Amazing moment, woman gives birth to premature baby on a Taiwan to Los Angeles flight." This is what it said when Oakley used the story. This is what it says now. It was clearly a mistake that the Mail themselves have corrected. So, what was the source of the confusion? Well, if I go to this link here, which is thanks to Squeaker Alpha, and this is a link that was provided to Oakley 6 months ago. And it's the Taiwan Explorer. On October 8th, on a China Airlines flight from Taipei to Los Angeles, a baby was born. This birth became instant news, blah, blah, blah. So it's just reporting that the flight was from Taipei to Los Angeles. So where did the Bali thing come in? Well, if you look down, the doctor who was on the flight, who helped the woman give birth, this is what it says about her. "It was a honeymoon that Dr. Angelica Zen likely won't ever forget, and not just because of the romantic Bali vacation. On her way home to Los Angeles last week, the UCLA physician made her first unassisted delivery of a newborn baby. The doctor got on at Bali. She got a flight from Bali to Taiwan. She then changed flights, got on a flight to Los Angeles, where the woman who was pregnant got on. Now, if we go to China Airlines and check their flights. Now, the flight was on a Wednesday, left on a Wednesday, so we'll choose a Wednesday. Search flights. Right, here we go. First flight that comes up, one stop. So it leaves Denpasar, Bali at 15:40. It goes to Taiwan. You then change in Taiwan for Los Angeles at 23:50. It says the flight leaves at 23:50. Let's have a look at what this newspaper report said, which took off from Taoyuan International Airport at 11:50 p.m. on Wednesday. Okay, it's clear that this is what happened. The doctor was in Bali on holiday on a honeymoon. She was flying back. She flew to Taiwan, changed, got on a flight from Taiwan to LA, where the pregnant woman got on with her, but halfway across, the woman goes into labour. And then they decide to reroute to Anchorage in Alaska. Now let's see if this makes sense on Google Earth. So I've marked these three places. Taiwan International Airport. Anchorage Airport. And LAX. Okay, so let's use the distance calculator to draw a line of least distance across the surface of the spherical Earth from Taiwan Airport to LA. Over here. Okay, you can see I'm right at LA Airport. Now let's see what this line does when you see it, what it actually does on a spherical Earth. Well, there you go. Leaves Taiwan, and this is the path of least distance across the Earth that the plane would have followed. So the plane left Taiwan. Somewhere about here, the plane decides not to go all the way to LA, but to divert to here, Anchorage. Now when you see it like this, suddenly it's not so unreasonable. It's perfectly understandable with the Earth being a sphere. Okay, the flight was from Taiwan to LA. The doctor got on in Bali, then joined the flight at Taiwan, where the pregnant woman got on. But somewhere across about here, the woman got into labour. They decided to reroute to Anchorage because it would probably. But it's wherever they decided to reroute from. I'm guessing that maybe half the amount of time that it would take to get to the next airport. So they thought it was worthwhile, instead of going all the way to LAX, to reroute to Anchorage, where the woman was cared for. Now, all that information was linked to Oakley months ago. Okay, this article is linked to him on his own page, on the page of the video. People pointed out to him multiple times in the comments that it was from Taiwan to Bali. I had about a 3-day argument with him about it, in which he behaved like an irrational lunatic. And the video 6 months later is still up with this completely false information and wrong argument. This is what the Mail Online article actually says now. So this is why I think Oakley is an unreasonable, irrational fanatic. And I challenge him to remove this video. Otherwise, he's just going to look even more foolish. Hello there, and welcome to another video. Now, this video has got two purposes. The first part is to
Yeah, that's a pretty good explanation of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's not going to look any more stupid, is he? Is it playing again?
No, it has stopped.
I can hear it.
It should be stopped. It is not playing.
I just want to shout out to Hannah, Anderson, Amy Hogan in the chat room.
Sorry, there was just a bit of an
Hello,
echo.
ladies.
All right. What's Grim up to then? Hi, Grim.
Hey guys, I'm over here live from the Denios Flea Market in Sacramento, California. I think it's Roseville.
What's the Deniers Free Market? They're people who deny something?
Yeah, they're Deniers Flea Market. It's
What do they deny?
Actually, it smelled Denio. It smelled Denio. That's how you smell it.
Been smoking.
Stay big at Denios. You see that from over there?
Yeah, we see it. I hope you enjoyed your food.
There's a car show over here. I'm just out here with too much fucking money, trying to spend money on everything for no reason. A bunch of people looked at me when I said that. Hey, sir, would you like to look at my rugs? What are you guys up to?
Just have another lunch before I head down to watch Arkansas lose to Colorado.
Yeah. Does Arkansas ever win?
We did a few years back. We're just terrible lately.
Pretty cool couches. I guess you can't really see them in the dark. Phone adjust.
You got some lint in your chest, Grim. Oh shit, that's hair. Sorry, I'll shut up.
It's hair. It's lint. You're right. The first time. Good observation.
I'm amazed. I didn't know America had like what we'd call it like a flea market. I don't know.
I think that's exactly
what do you call it? Outdoor market? Do you call it?
No, he called it a flea market.
Oh, so they got them in America too, flea markets, yeah. So we'd call it like a flea market. Just meaning everything's cheap, not that you get fleas there, obviously. It's just cheap.
Oh no, you can definitely get fleas here.
Fleas and cheap, brilliant.
Yep. And he said that, and more people just looked at him.
Have you got it on a selfie stick? Is it, how's Grim talking on it? Has he got headphones?
$500 fine. No fine. You can smoke here. Yeah. They sell beer here too. Oh. Yeah. Well, thank you. You betcha.
So you on speakerphone, Grim?
$500.
Yeah, I think so. I don't have a fucking earphone piece.
All right, I'm amazed it's coming through so well. So everyone can hear us as well, right, around you? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's too loud.
Is it? All right.
Yeah. I can barely hear. That's why I got the phone.
And there's a fine for smoking in your state?
Yeah.
Wow.
We're outdoors.
In public and outdoors, yeah?
Yeah.
Ah.
I mean, it's California, so it could be any minute now that they could change that law. So, I mean, it already is kind of weird in some places. And it's not a bad idea. Smoking is stupid. I wish I could quit. It might make it easier if they quit letting us smoke at the flea market. Yeah, this is one of my spots. I used to have a couple spots here at this flea market until I started my cannabis farming. So this used to be my deal.
And so you used to sell buy and sell stuff in the market, yeah?
Yeah, I would customize clothes. I had a print machine and a hex
right.
machine, and so I would like let people pick whatever designs they wanted. No one still has that out here. It's still really a niche market. It seems like if I could come right back and do it again, and I'd kill all these stores. These guys, they got all this stock all stocked up and pre-printed and all this crap, and they waste so much money. I just get blanks, print for the people, and then charge 3 times more than these guys are allowed to charge because they're custom when I do it.
Ah, right.
So I go through a lot less material and I make a lot more money. It's just, and I try to show them how to do it, but it takes a salesman. You got to be like, hey, we customize all the clothes right here inside the store. The first item on every rack is a display, and the rest are all blanks. Choose any one of the blank clothing styles from my rack, and any one of the lovely printed, designs from the wall, and I'll be happy to print it for you. And it seems like too much work for some people to say that kind of shit or something. I don't know.
Well, you're a natural born salesman, Grim. So what happened then? You gave up that, and then you took up the cannabis farming because they legalized cannabis, did they, in wherever you are, California?
Oh yeah, it was legal when I was doing this first, but see, I didn't really know if I was actually, I was practicing growing, for years.
Right, you didn't know if you're any good at it, yeah.
Really good. And then by the time I was, for sure that I wasn't going to fail and I'd get good gains and stuff, I just wrapped it up and started with the cannabis, and I realized, like, holy shit, I make $20,000.
420.
You know what I mean? In 2 days on cannabis sales, or I can do that in a year at the fucking flea market. And I switched. All right, we switched.
But I guess you have to invest money back into lights. I don't know if you're doing it hydroponically and all that stuff into the right seeds. Yeah.
Yeah, I do light depth, indoor, outdoor, all year round.
All right. Organic? Organic?
All organic.
All organic.
I know. I do need a toothpick. God damn it. I just ate some fucking steak tacos. Street tacos. Muy bien. So good.
I gotta get out of here, guys. Thank you for the after show. I'll check back what I missed from now on later. Good looking out, Mr. Grim. Thank you, everybody.
Have a good one, man.
Nos vemos, brother. Cuídate.
Nos vemos. Hasta luego. Bye.
Boom. Boom.
Boom.
Jose, it goes boom, boom, boom.
It looks like I'm filming everybody, but I'm really filming.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for some flatties to get brave. Come in here.
That ain't gonna happen. Mr. Grimm, how much are you allowed to legally carry in California now then?
A couple pounds.
What? In the street?
Yeah.
In my car.
Yeah. Cool. How times have changed, hey? How times have changed, right? Yeah.
Sure.
Wasn't like that when I was back in there in the 90s.
On me, though. I don't sell to like random people. I just sell to dispensaries. So it's only in the car that I'm really concerned with it. So I just take a couple pounds at a time to the dispensary.
And do they look at the quality that you're doing? Do you do oil as well, Mr. Grimm?
No, I don't. They always beg me to, and I just it's more work. I mean, here's the deal. Usually people who do the waxes and shit like that, because the weed doesn't have good bag appeal. All right, they didn't grow really great looking weed, blah blah blah. So they just kind of melt it all down. Usually, I'm just saying, or they use their the bottom of the buds and stuff like that. But I don't have enough acreage, and you're not really allowed to grow that much. So, I mean, to me, it's worth more in the bud form, and it's because it's less work for me, and it's you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That shit. I don't need to concentrate it. I mean, I do my hash and stuff like that for myself.
No, I was just thinking about the medicinal side because I've heard CBD, especially if it's not got THC in it, can be very good for all sorts of things.
CBD helps a lot with my nightmares and my sleep.
Yeah, and I've heard some people use it for
Let me walk
cancer
you guys over to the car show.
and all sorts. Where do you get it from, the non-paid shows? Can you just buy it in the US now? Can you?
Yeah, CBD is an over-the-counter thing. What I'm specifically looking for, and have been looking for some time, is some sort of pain reliever without the high.
Mm-hmm.
I've been clean 28 years. I like it that way. It's my choice. I've got family members that still smoke up. That's their choice. That's cool. I dig it. But I don't want the high. And I can't find anything that's like really effective for the pain that doesn't have the buzz.
Right, really. And the CBD still does it?
Well, that primarily helps with my nightmares and sleeping. I worked some pretty bad jobs, and I still have nightmares. I just don't sleep that well.
I mean, all right, okay. Don't want to go into the bad jobs, but not in the army, I assume. So if I went into the US and I was in the US, I could go and buy CBD somewhere, could I? To then.
Oh yeah. I've got an empty bottle of it right here. I'm holding in my hand right now.
Right. So I could just go into somewhere else, as long as it's in a state where it's legal. I could go into a dispensary and buy it. Yeah.
I think it's CBD. I think is legal pretty much every state, if I recall correctly.
Oh right. Okay. All right. Because I think in Europe it's a bit. I don't really know the law in Europe, but I don't think it's legal yet here.
No, you can buy it here.
Can you?
I've got it with my vape. Yeah.
Yeah. The stuff without the THC is okay. It's if it's got
THC with it as well,
in it at all, that you can then run into issues.
And why'd you put it in a vape, Pip?
Because I
faster,
vape.
faster delivery.
For my arthritis.
Ah, right. It's faster delivery, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And see, in my case,
or whatever.
I use sublingual drops. I just put some drops under my tongue.
Yeah.
Let me walk you guys over to my Mustang real quick at the car show so you can take a look at what's
He's
up.
got a pony. Nice.
Mustang Sally.
Yeah.
I suppose he had to have, didn't he?
Yeah.
If you said, what car has Grim got? I probably would have guessed a Mustang.
Sean's going live in 30 minutes. I wonder if he's made his mind up yet.
Oh, yeah, he went all funny, didn't he, yesterday about the whole thing? I didn't get that. I know Jose's kind of dead against it too, but I didn't understand the non-discussion of it. And I didn't understand. Yeah, I'm not sure he really understands the whole back and forth as well. He should have watched the video really to understand it.
Yeah, maybe he has now.
Yeah, it's reasonably cut and dried, I think. Wow, fantastic car, Grim.
Yeah. That's gorgeous.
Except for there's a big problem with it. You've got the steering wheel on the wrong side. Someone did you there, mate.
Why am I not seeing it?
Probably only a problem if you're driving over where you're at.
They saw you coming.
Oh. A left hooker in this country makes it fun when you try to overtake.
Let me see the side of it.
Oh wow, look at that engine. Wow. Looks like wow. Is that customized? Do normal Mustang engines look like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a 67. That's a 67, ain't it?
So what I mean is this, and I'm not very familiar with the engines at all.
Same difference.
Would it have looked like that when it was new, or have you coloured and got special hoses and all that kind of stuff?
Oh no, this is all a bunch of aftermarket stuff on here.
Ah, right, okay. So it has been spruced up.
Yeah, of course.
And what year was that?
71.
Oh, a 71. Okay, all right.
Oh, it's younger than I am.
Before it got all the emission rubbish on it.
Hey, there's better cars than mine out here today. A lot of them. Am I muted still?
No. How much was it, Graham, when you bought it? I mean, did you buy it secondhand?
$3,500 bucks.
3,500. Oh, so quite cheap then.
Yeah, it didn't look anything like that.
Oh, right. So you've done a lot of work to it then.
No, yeah. I tell people, yeah, you can let your kids sit in there and take pictures, and they're like, no, they don't want to sit in it. It's fucked up. I promise, dog won't hike it on the tire. I got to keep my ears open for the raffle winner.
That'd be me. I won the raffle.
Yeah, look at that though. 56 Ford.
Look at that. That's trying to be spacey, but looks really dated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at the shape of that and the wings at the back. I mean, it's just, isn't it funny, right? The shape of that car, and then you look at all the classic UFOs. That kind of UFOs just took off about that time in the 50s, right? It's kind of you can see the.
I swear you're right. It's
Yeah, you see
human
what I mean?
imagination, dude.
Yeah, it's human imagination. You can kind of see the similarities, can't you, between that and the sort of
absolutely.
the
Look
classic
how long that
UFOs.
bunker space is.
Wow.
And I love that chrome.
Yeah, you can tell it's all UFOs had a spare wheel on the back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the new UFOs, they look like the new cars.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. Funny that. The aliens must be watching us closely. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry about this music. Hold on, let me turn it.
Yeah, all the aliens come over here to nick our
to have a look at the cars.
Yeah, nick our technology so they can take it back.
Exactly, get design tips and then they go and design it. Yeah.
Right. They think they like muscle cars too. Give them a big, They take that shit home with them. Like, look at this! I got a bubble.
Yeah, exactly. I picked this up. Yeah, look at this. Copy that. I want a lot of chrome on the back.
Yeah, absolutely. The round headlights in this version with the round headlights.
You got to have dish wheels as well.
Oh, please, of course, that's a given. Any alien worth his salt and fucking got dish wheels.
Exactly.
They don't really took off over here, really, have they? Dish wheels. They're just no. I don't like the wheels they have over here. We have horrible ones.
Yeah, and we don't have any cheap Mustangs either, do we?
No.
She don't like the walking around bullshit. I think she left me.
You need a Sedgeway.
Oh yeah, she's probably sitting there getting her nails done at a mall or somewhere. Left the damn whole entire flea market.
Do flat earthers go there and get disappointed because they can't find any fleas?
No, I can find some fleas. Look at these people. Hold on.
Oh dear, here we go.
I'll get you next to some of them.
It looks huge. It looks very big though. I'm really.
Start a conversation with some rando.
It's quite it's sort of a nice thing to be looking at where you are, Grim. So I'm quite enjoying seeing a bit of America that I just didn't even know exist. Right, I didn't know this existed. I imagined all you guys had was malls, and I'm quite gobsmacked that you guys have got look like proper flea markets.
Too. It's like a mile, and it's pretty big. I mean, cubic mile or something.
But do they have things like antiques? So in the UK ones, you often get antiques like vintage clothes, kind of what we call antique stuff.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
I'll walk you right into some right now.
The trouble is, all of our flea markets, that's all they sell.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't have anything decent there.
That's what I mean. Exactly. It would just be that. Yeah.
I'm showing my friends on YouTube your lovely wares.
Hey, y'all, it's been real. It's been three-dimensional, but I'm going to jet.
Took me 3 seconds to find one.
Oh, look, you found a globe.
Hey!
Hey.
Too bad it's not flat.
Yeah. Too bad it's an old
Let's
style
get a little
map.
closer. Yeah. It's flat now.
I can see the curve.
It's flat now, goddammit.
That's pretty cool. That's the area where I used to live, down that way. I should imagine it's changed quite dramatically.
Then there's this guy.
Oh, what is that?
You see him?
Yeah, it's like one of those
I'll get over here next to him.
Crazy cheese guys.
Betcha.
That's pretty cool. That's generous.
Keep playing for tips, y'all. You got to tip the musicians, man. They're just saying right. I can't hear you guys anymore, though.
It's gone deaf.
We're still here.
No, I stuck it. There you go. I stuck the camera in my ear. Hello? Yeah, I need to pull the hair out of my ears.
Well,
oh, so much fun stuff to look at. I don't know what to do here. Anybody need a ladder?
I got absolutely everything there, haven't I?
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, name something.
Seeing those refrigerators with the locking handles is quite amazing because they've been illegal over here for so long.
Yep.
Yeah, they have. After those two kids got in there and they couldn't find them playing that hide and seek. Yeah, that was probably what 20 years ago, wasn't it? Maybe longer.
That was when I was about 4 or 5 years old. So about 1970.
There you go. Tragic, wasn't it? Yeah. They were playing hide and seek, weren't they? In like a dump or something.
Yeah, and they got in one,
yeah.
and
that's right. I couldn't get out. Yeah.
Because the door locked.
Yeah.
So
they locked on them, didn't it? I mean, just tragic. Can you imagine the guy who found them and opened the door?
Yeah. So now it's magnetic catches only on anything that seals.
Blimey.
Oh, that's all fake. That's all fake. Spurs will tell you no such thing as pressure. Doesn't exist.
You can't even sell those at our markets. Gas bottles.
No, that's right. Yeah. They have to have been inspected,
don't they? A lot of
this
is regulated here. Like, honestly, because you can, like you just said, both of those things are right there. You need particular licenses to even sell. So I don't know.
The cylinders aren't so much the problem. It's buying and selling cylinders isn't so much a problem. It's getting them certificated so you're allowed to get them filled.
Yeah, they just refuse.
That's what I mean. Exactly. I think you can buy them, as you say.
Can buy and sell them empty. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's actually getting them refilled by someone. They have to have been inspected, don't they? And reach.
Yeah, it costs. If it's empty and open, like if they are literally completely empty, they're gonna need about a £75 test and inspection in the UK. I only know because I've got them myself. So.
You try going to BOC and try to get them refilled. No. You've got to buy one of ours and pay us fortunes. Absolutely.
Hi to the YouTubers. I had to show you that guy. He has one eye going one direction and one eye going the other direction. And he's so happy to see you. Hey! And I looked around like, because I wasn't sure he was looking at me because he was talking at me like he knew me. So I looked behind me and no one was there. He was looking right at me. I didn't realize it. The first time I saw him, not this time. Anyway, I'm just rambling about anything.
Speakers. Crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Right, sorry, I'm just getting my ears assorted because my daughter's just got back from Derby, where they've picked up a Recaro pram and pushchair set for my first grandchild that's due in February.
Oh, tell them we're not retards, by the way.
No, I've already told her that. She was quite impressed because they're actually into the car scene in this country, and they rather liked those cars that we saw earlier. Oh, especially your Mustang, because they're into Fords.
That counts for the Recaro.
Yeah, that counts for the Recaro. Yeah. Fords have been big in my family for a long time because my dad actually started working for Ford Motor Company in 1963.
Cool.
As a development mechanic, or as a mechanic in the development plant.
Was that Dagenham?
That was at Aveley. That was at
Oh, right.
special. That was at special projects engineering at Aveley, and then he went to staff and worked in the warranty department for about 35 years.
Oh, cool.
This guy's really talented. Check him out. He's making out of the barrels. He's making all this cool stuff.
Oh, that's pretty damn good.
I don't know if I'm showing you right.
What sort of price is that? Is there a price on them?
What about for the liquor storage? What kind of prices are we looking at? $315. That's really nice.
Hell, that'd be well over $1,000 over here, if not more.
Oh, we've got one of those in the clubhouse at the bowling club.
Have you?
Well, mainly because we have a big distillery in town.
Ah, well, that helps, yeah.
Oh, that's nice. That is nice.
Comes to the bottom. Jose.
I like the wishing well, though.
It's really nice. I'm showing a lot of people right now, so you got a lot of people watching. Yeah, it is very nice.
Saying one to Scotland.
I like the smell too. It's fresh. You can tell it's still drying out, still curing.
Oh, the seat's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've got a lot of good looks. Do you build them yourself? Any custom orders and stuff like that too?
Oh, I like the table. I'd have that.
I could get a lot of crap in there.
Yep. Me too.
I was gonna say how much fancy chairs might work too. That'd be great.
That'd be cool to build a computer in. That'd be awesome.
Stuff, guys. Oh, here you go. The burro. Burro.
Nice.
That's perfect for my yard, man. I wish I could afford all of that stuff right now.
I'm getting homesick now.
Okay, says that's Gladys. Blue's not here.
Thank you.
I used to live in Merino Valley.
Where's that?
I think a little bit down from you. Merino?
Oh, I can now hear you now.
Merino?
Dan Marino?
Yeah, San Marino.
I said Dan Marino. I was trying to be funny. But...
Yeah. But yeah, that's where Weber Street was the place, but that's the middle of nowhere, but I think it's all built up now. You can't recognize the place. But that was quite cool growing up there. That was it's not far from Riverside.
Oh.
Yeah. I assume Riverside
I'm originally from the East Coast, like from Florida and Georgia and shit like that. So I'm not really super familiar with all the little areas in California.
Right.
Unless they're super popular or something, or I've been to them, like Pebble Beach, Shark Beach, or stuff like that.
No, it's a pretty cool place down there. 69 was the last time I visited.
Wow, yeah, everything changed, man.
Yeah. I tried looking on Google Maps, but that's just so built up there now. That's mad. Absolutely crazy.
You're not gonna. Yeah, exactly. You probably wouldn't recognize anything. But I noticed about the flea market lately. It seems that it's all the same kind of shit everywhere.
I think that's part of the parcel of a flea market.
Uh-oh. We're back. All right. Well, I swear you can get some good deals on some socks and some t-shirts, though. Everybody's got those here.
The fruit of the loom.
We also have a farmer's market at the other end of it, way down there, where it's just like all the vegetables and stuff from homegrown farmers. You know, all organic. At least most of it. They'll tell you which ones are organic.
The smaller ones, everything in large has been produced with chemicals.
Usually that's exactly right. It's usually like the smaller ones that actually get bruises and have You know, I go for that stuff.
Yeah, much more flavor.
Oh yeah. Then there's that. It's largely you know, Mexican here, so there's a lot of like, you know, quesillera type clothing, and you know, like girls wedding dresses and soccer shoes and shit like that. Because they wear them together, the soccer shoes with the wedding dresses.
Of course, it's fashion.
There's piñatas everywhere.
Pinata. Let's
I
go.
don't need it. Oh yeah. So here we are at the farmers market side of things. See, I don't know, what do we got here? We got mangoes and cashews and berry strawberries.
No.
Actually, I just don't even know what they are. Dragon fruit.
Yeah.
You don't see that every day. I knew somebody was going to make a living off of cactus one day.
Tequila.
Tequila. I wonder how hard it is to pick all the fucking spears out of the cactus before you sell it. Oh, because they're all picked. You know, I know a little bit of Spanish, but it's not the same as Mexican.
No.
People think it is. It's totally not.
No,
a lot of the words are the same, but
yeah.
Shit. The organization is different. It fucks me up.
See, what you're doing now is filming publicly. In Britain, people get paranoid and tell you to stop filming.
Oh, I'll beat them up. I don't look like the kind of approachable guy. I don't look real sweet or nice or anything. Woo!
No, they don't. They don't like it in Britain. Even though it's legal, we're allowed to do it in public, you know, filming that. But you still get the police telling you can't do it, and you always get the do-gooders saying you can't do this. Yet you can, but they don't like it. They're a bit paranoid.
Yeah, that's shit. These people out here, they got nothing to hide. Looks like they don't care.
No, they don't. No.
Watch, and they don't even speak English either, so it makes it easy for me to say stuff. Say hello to everybody on YouTube, guys. Nope, not happening. He looked at me.
Buenos dias.
I gotta bring one of my Spanish friends so that way, you know, I don't get the funny looks like, what are you doing, man? I don't get funny looks. Yeah.
Only two of us left.
Say again?
There's only two of us, don't there, on the chat?
Oh, well, cool then. It makes it that way not boring a lot of people at once.
No, there's 5 of us. I'm here.
Oh, there's 5. Oh yeah, there's 5.
Pip, LK, and me still here.
That's cool. It's just showing up as 2 on mine for some reason. It's now showing 5.
Oh, it gets like that sometimes. I think Meats has been playing up for a few days because he's been doing all sorts. It was chucking Pip out last night, and Terry Davies has had a job joining the other day, and yeah, it's and actually in the stream last night I was getting a lot of little video glitches coming from Meats. So
It's very rude. I get quite upset. I thought somebody had chucked me out.
especially when it said somebody had ejected you from the meeting.
Yes, someone has removed you from the meeting. I went, who did it?
when the only person who can ejected from the meeting was Jose, and Jose wasn't even there.
Al's gone. Bye, Al.
Bye, Al.
Bye, Al. Yeah, looking at all that food, it's made me hungry, so I think I'm going to head off.
Yeah, I've just had.
Oh, I'm right in the food court again.
Oh no, not more food.
No, don't go to the food court, please. Don't go to the food court.
I went to Rodrigo's Street Tacos a minute ago.
Oh, tacos. Oh.
Street
No,
tacos.
not keen.
They're not the same as the tacos you get at some like a super Americanized Taco Bell system
No.
or something.
Proper
No.
tacos. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't even put tomatoes on them. Or
Nice.
cheese.
Or
It's
cheese.
They don't.
Bit of Britain. Yeah.
Steak, lime, and some salsa, man.
Yeah.
And onions. Yeah, that's it.
That's how it should be. Yeah, everything over here is cheese, smothered in cheese.
Yeah.
They got to put cheese on it.
Over here too, in the as far as U.S. food, it's like flavor junkie food. Flavor junkies love that too. And that's how you get fat, because you're just so hooked on the flavors all the time,
Yeah.
Salt and sugar.
It's not good.
I know it for a fact, because that's how I started getting fat. That's why I ride my bike every day now.
Yeah, trouble is you can't say that to the average American. Says, no, I'm average.
Yeah.
I'm average size. No, they ain't average, mate.
Yeah. Average American size.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Which is like twice anybody in Cambodia.
Yeah. Most of their arms are bigger than Cambodians.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
One of my best friends is Cambodian. I met him in elementary school when we were kids, and that was the time when he was actually going through a lot of shit, and they were, refugees and all this kind of stuff that came over. And he knew shit about pressure points back then. We were like second grade or something. I couldn't even. He just touched my shoulder one time and dropped me. Oh, couldn't believe it. And he had like a ripped abdomen, all muscles. I mean, no kids our age had that. It was crazy. Like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, you just don't eat much. I didn't realize we were just fat.
Yeah. Have some cheese.
Some more cheese with that wine, American baby.
Oh, cool. Anyway, nice to meet you there, Mr. Grim. Is that Grim 5 or Grim V?
Grim V. The
Yeah,
B
Grim.
assignment.
Yeah, cool. Well, it's nice to meet you, chap. And hopefully we'll meet up with you soon.
Absolutely. Yeah. Take care. You guys have a good one. I got to get over back to my car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bye. Bye,
awesome.
y'all.
Bye, everyone. Catch
Alan.
up with you soon.
Take care, Alan. Yeah, I only see two people too.
Oh, sorry, Grim. I was muted there because my daughter keeps coming in and speaking to me about the nice new stuff she's bought for the baby.
Oh, cool.
Well, baby's due in
they
February.
Had a baby shower or what?
Sorry?
They had a baby shower?
No, but the one thing they wanted was this Recaro pram and pushchair set and everything. And as Recaro have now stopped making them, they've been lucky and found one that's basically brand new, never been used, that somebody was trying to get rid of. So they were lucky.
I guess you're allowed to sling rocks over here. Must listen to a lot of rap music. No, seriously though, there's a lot of rocks here.
Yeah.
Quartz here, right? There's onyx. This white onyx. That's weird. Wow, that just looks like petrified wood, doesn't it?
That is. The trouble is, every time it moves, it crinkles it a little bit in the video feed. That is a nice piece of rock, though.
Yeah, so I guess people sell rocks here. But yeah, shoot, I'm starting to get a little antsy. I better go and check on my ride. I'll be back, guys. Or we're out of here, I guess.
Yeah, I think we're going to be out of here since it's just the two of us left in the call. But it's been nice chatting with you and seeing around where you live. And I have to say, I do like the Mustang.
Oh, thanks, man. It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, I know the sort of effort required to keep a car looking like that. Even if you don't have rain and snow and salt on the roads to worry about.
Not at all. You know what the main thing is, though? I had two boys working on it, my youngest and my oldest son. So that was like what it was all about anyway.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay, then we'll take care and speak to you soon.
All right, brother. Take care, Alan.
And I guess I shall say good night to everybody out in YouTube land. Still got 22 of you watching, so that's good. And a good night to all of you.